What's up, y'all? It's Elijah here of Meeple Mountain, and today we're going to talk a little bit more about Van Ryder Games' new Kickstarter, Detective City of Angels. Now, it just went live on Kickstarter, so it's not too late to back it still. But if you missed our first video, make sure you go back and check it out. It's got an interview with Evan and AJ, the guys from Van Ryder Games, and they give a little more detail on the specifics of the game, the theme, all kinds of stuff. It's definitely worth watching. If you want to check it out, check this little video right up here. There should be a link. If not, check the description below. Now, this is going to be more about my thoughts of the game itself, since Andy and I got to actually sit down and play a full round of this. We played the intro scenario, and I beat Andy just by a hair, but he's a gracious loser, so it's alright. Now, we had a lot of fun with it. If you don't know about the game, if you're not familiar, the basic idea is that you're all trying to go around and solve this mystery. So at the beginning of a round, you're going to get a briefing packet, and it's going to give you basically what's happening. You know, who died, who are the suspects, where are they, so on and so forth. And you're going to have to piece together what actually happened with just that little information. The way that works is on your turn you can move around, you have a limited number of actions, and you can use those to move, you can use those to interrogate suspects, to search locations, search suspects themselves. You can do all kinds of stuff. And each one of you is going to be doing those things on your turn, but this isn't a cooperative game. You're actually trying to beat the others to solve it, which is really neat. I haven't seen anything like that, and it really made for some interesting tension. There was some times where I knew something that Andy didn't, and we kind of each had a piece of this puzzle, but neither of us really knew completely what was going on, and eventually we figured it out, but it just kind of worked so well. Now, one person is going to play the chisel. The chisel is completely different from everyone else, and their goal is more to make sure that nobody solves the mystery. The way that the chisel works is every time someone goes to either interrogate someone or search a location or anything else, they are going to take these cards. They're these square cards, and they are going to give you an answer. So each card has 4 different answers that could be true, false, somewhere in the middle, some kind of half-truth, and they don't have to tell you if it's true or not. They're just going to pick their answer, slide it in the little thing so you can't see the other ones, and hand it to you. So what's so cool about this is this reminds me of a game from 2011 called LA Noire. It was an old, I think it was a PlayStation 2 game, and what it did is whenever you went up to somebody, you would have to look at their facial effects, look at their mannerisms and stuff to see if you think they were lying.
The tires, that's all that was took.
This kind of gives that same feel because there are 4 possible answers that the person could give you, but you don't know which one's actually true. You don't know if they're giving you the true one, if they're giving you the false one, if they're giving you some middle ground. It works so well. You can challenge it. If you challenge it wrong, they're going to get some dirt on you that they can use later to make things harder for you. But if you get it right, then they have to actually give you the correct answer, and some good stuff's going to happen on your side. Now, in the middle of all this, other players can spend money to kind of bribe their way into these conversations to get a little bit of it. It gives that tension of me having one piece of the puzzle, but you don't. It takes that and really rolls with it and allows you to just want to know what that other person knows. Sometimes it's useless. Sometimes you'll get a false answer and you'll spy on it and the other person won't challenge it, and you don't actually know if it's true or false because they didn't challenge it, but you spent the money on it. It works really well, and I enjoyed it a lot. It's something very different than the standard mechanisms. Now, the other really cool thing about that is the way that it encourages role-playing. Now, I know some people are really into RPGs, and I am myself. I've got a bunch of them over here on my shelf. Play a lot of D&D and a lot of other things, but it's not for everybody. In fact, Andy doesn't like RPGs really at all, and it's always a joke between us that I really like them, he doesn't, and we kind of joke back and forth about it. But what was weird is Andy was coming out role-playing more than I was.
Charlie, I think you're too smart for that.
You're getting really into this for the guy that doesn't want to play role-playing games. The way the game is set up, it really naturally allows that to happen without having to force it. One thing with RPGs is that it's really easy to get kind of lost in the anxiety of, oh, what do I do, what do I say? Because it's so wide open. You can do anything you want, you can say anything you want. But with this, you really kind of have limited options. You have options, but if you're asking a question to somebody, you have a limited number of things you can do, and so you're not stressed about what you can say. And Andy started saying things in all these voices and really getting into the role, and I was really caught off guard, but in a good way. Now it's completely optional, so you can just kind of skip right over that part if it's not your thing, or if one person wants to and one person doesn't. It's totally fine. It's not an issue. The game works either way. But it's an added bonus that it just feels natural, and it's something you don't really have to think about, but it comes out really easily because of the way the rules are set up. Now a big draw for this is how much you're actually going to get in the box. There's a lot of content going on here. You've got a ton of missions just in the base game, but then in the Kickstarter there's some bonus missions that are going to get thrown in as well. And I think there's also an expansion that's going up. So, I mean, there's a lot to do there. Look at something compared to like Pandemic Legacy. That game lasted me a long time. And sure, I only played through it one time, but I got so much out of that. Now this is somewhat replayable too. I mean, if I play through the whole thing, I can go back and play it again as the Chisel because the Chisel knows what's happening anyway. So I can show it to my friends. So it's a little bit more replayable than some of these other games that are one-time uses. There's also a couple extra modes that are on the Kickstarter that I'll let you kind of explore for yourself, but there's just a lot there. On top of all that, there's a lot of beautiful artwork there too. You've got Vincent Dutrait, who did all the art for all this. He did a lot of other big things in the past couple years, a lot of big board game projects, but his art is just really good. Evan talks a lot about it in the video that I mentioned before, so go check that out, but it's worth looking over just for the art. The beautiful map of LA, it feels like it's straight out of the time. It's like you spread a map out on the table. It's beautiful and definitely worth just appreciating for that alone. And I'm so glad that Evan and AJ are actually here in Nashville and they gave us a chance to play the game. So thanks and a big shout out to them for that. But getting to play the game gave me a good feel for how it actually works, and that was what put me over the edge. I didn't know what to think going into it, and I kind of didn't know much about the game before, but man, just getting to actually play it gave me a good sense, and I'm even more excited for it to actually come out. Just head on over and check out that Kickstarter, and I'll let you decide for yourself. But to make it easy, I've got links down below in the description. Also got links to that video with the interview with Evan and AJ to get some more of a feel about the game in terms of the actual theme and the artwork and everything, as well as, you know, everything else that they talk about. This is Elijah from Meeple Mountain, and thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button down below and subscribe if you so please. And while you're at it, go ahead and check out our social media at Meeple Mountain on Twitter, Instagram, of course here on YouTube, and everywhere else you can think of. We got a website too, meeplemountain.com, where we post reviews and all kinds of great editorial articles. So check back there often, and we'll see you next time.